What's up, guys? Welcome to our Move the Needle podcast. This is episode number 35, Steve.
35, it is.
Live in the Dale today, up in Scottsdale, one of our favorite pizza joints on planet Earth.
Craft 64.
Craft 64.
Smell as soon as you start walking close to the door.
You smell the pizza. I know. I was driving up here today, and I actually thought for myself for just a moment, I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go all in and have a pizza.
I did last time.
I don't know. We'll
last
see.
time I was there, I almost did a whole large myself. They have the nice thin crust here, and yeah, I could eat more than I usually do here.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
so
listen, we've got a
it.
great show for you today. Obviously, you can see who's sitting in the hot seat here first. We're going to get to him in a minute. Carey Pena is going to join us. She's a journalist who a lot of people will remember from her days on television. She's since, come unplugged from there, and she started this Inspired Media Group, which is super cool. So we're going to get to her. We're going to talk to Bari Mears, who runs PACC911. This is an organization that helps animals when they're really on their deathbed.
Really, the medical, I call it the medical piece. When they're hurt, they need fixing.
Yeah.
Before they
These are the dogs on death row, and she looks to save them. How about that?
Absolutely.
But first, we are going to talk to a sharp-dressed man. This is a great outfit this dude's sporting today. For those of you that are watching us on YouTube, Aaron Auxier. He runs the Celeb and Sports division for Williams Luxury, and so we have so much to talk about. First up, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here, man. We're excited to have you on this show. It must be a really interesting thing to be running a sports and celebrity division because I don't know. I can only imagine what your whole world is like. I mean, I was in the radio business 28 years. I was around celebrities every day of my life, and they're a unique bird. They're a unique group of people, and they have certain desires that they're looking for. They're oftentimes very particular, and that's the very thing that's ascended them to success because they have an eye for what's working and what doesn't. So how do you land a gig as this celeb and sports real estate agent?
You have to be colorful, I guess.
Okay.
You have to have some art inside you. I grew up in Los Angeles, and I was involved in the entertainment business a bit. I'm in Screen Actors Guild. And
what did you do? Did you act?
Yeah.
He's got one credit. I checked him out. He's legit.
I have a couple.
Oh, okay. One talking, though.
A couple.
A couple.
Yeah.
What did you do? What were they?
I've done some documentaries.
Okay.
And I've done a lot of media appearances. Not that would qualify me, but I have definitely done some stand-in work when I was younger in Los Angeles. So I definitely grew up in the business. I studied as well with this really legendary coach named Lois Auer. She was like the coach on a Dick Van Dyke show and Mary Tyler Moore show. She coached Jodie Foster all out of her living room in Sherman Oaks, California.
There it is.
And I got to study there, and so that's really what got me into luxury real estate, though, was going to see Lois once a week, driving up these hills in Sherman Oaks above Ventura Boulevard, and it's like you see these trees and these big gates, and you see these homes hidden behind, and it really got my curiosity going as a child, about what the privacy was like. And I really loved it. And so I thought it would be me buying one, being on television and stuff like that eventually. And what happened is I ended up moving to Vegas when I was 30. She cried. Yeah, which is really interesting.
She was like, "Don't leave."
Yeah, she cried. She was like, "We've worked so hard. We're almost there." And I moved there, and then I started representing people in the entertainment business because the Las Vegas Strip was really blowing up at that time.
Okay.
And I met the right people. And one of them actually was the founder of E! Entertainment Television, and he had referred to me in a magazine interview he did. He talked about me. And the next thing you know, I kept meeting a person and meeting another person.
Yeah, I saw your reference list of the people who you've worked with is quite impressive in Vegas. I mean, can we mention a couple of the names that really said some really flattering things? One of them, I know, he's from the casino business. I don't know him, but I recognize the name. He said some very, very flattering things.
Like what?
If you're looking for any sort of home in the area, this is your man.
This is the guy you want.
And this is the guy you want. And he's the type of level. Can you say his name so I don't have to say
it? Was George Maloof.
Yes, George Maloof.
Okay.
George Maloof owned the Sacramento Kings. He owned Palms Casino. He was involved with the Vegas Knights. He's a
player.
He's a
player in the
fixture,
Vegas
man.
world.
He's
a
a fixture.
So he's not a client. He's somebody who I got to know just being involved in television and being on the news in Vegas. A lot of times these higher ups, casino executives would see me on TV and see that I was speaking very colorfully about Las Vegas in the media, because at the time the market was starting to crash, and I took on the media and made sure to stand up for the city.
It's so great. Your training really did kind of, it propelled you into this career that you have now. Because let's be honest, selling real estate is, if you can put on the charm, if you can, when the lights go on and you can turn that on, it's a huge asset.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's a huge asset to be able to just like, all right, lights, camera, action, here we
For
go.
sure.
Time to get it going. When you were selling homes in Las Vegas, give me an idea for what level are we playing? Like, how many millions of dollars are these houses that people are buying? And I'd also be interested if you have a really great story about one of the coolest properties that you ever dealt with or sold.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
It was mainly condos on the Strip.
Okay.
So, including some top floor penthouses.
And what is that price range? What does that look like?
Yeah, I sold. My best week in the business was I sold 2 $5 million units in a 4-day period to somebody in the hip hop business. Like,
Yeah.
It was someone in the music industry, but heavily involved in hip hop. Yeah, that was a good week. That was on the Las Vegas Strip in a very special building called the Harmon that ended up getting built incorrectly, which was a nightmare, by the way.
So what
Because
happened?
I got a call.
What's
You
the
better
story?
get my money back.
What's the story
I'm not
there?
going to say who that was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. But what's the story on like how it gets built, and do they have to tear it down, or do they just
Yeah.
have to go? Oh, they do.
They had to tear it down.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a sad
somebody's
story.
cashing in an insurance policy. Yeah. So when you're dealing with these high-profile people in the music and television world, are you dealing with them? Are you dealing with their agent? Are you dealing with a rep? Like, who's usually your point of contact?
For me, it's always been the person.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it can definitely. When I met that person I was just speaking of, I had met his financial manager first.
Okay.
She's the one who, like, vetted everybody out to see who he should work with.
I see.
But once I got the green light with him, then he flew in the very next day and we met face to face.
And then you went and looked at 1 or 2 or 3 places.
In
And
a
eventually-
Ferrari.
In a Ferrari.
Yeah, it's like, let's get in my car, let's go buy one. And he bought one that day. It was amazing.
Oh my
That
God!
sounds
These
awesome.
people play at such
It's-
a good clip, dude.
So
Good for them.
We've talked L.A., Vegas. Now you're in Phoenix. What advice would you do, or do you give your first-time celebrity home buyers about this Phoenix market and what's going on,
As far as what to purchase?
or whatever? What type of advice do you give them? What to purchase, what to or not purchase, or
I mean, I would say be in Paradise Valley or North Scottsdale.
Yeah.
that's your favorite area?
Those are the 2 areas that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any specific areas that you give a shout out to in those areas that you?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Scottsdale, I would definitely say new luxury condos. Like, for instance, Ascent at the Phoenician is very special. They have a new project there called Summit by Olson Kundig, which is an architectural firm in
Okay.
Washington. It's very special because we still, being from Vegas and seeing the luxury condos there, they were a step up from here, I feel like. There was more like that 5-star services. So Summit is starting to, the architecture is speaking a little bit more towards that audience. I also like North Scottsdale, like around Scottsdale Road in the 101. If you wanted to be really private, you could go Silverleaf, super high end. Or, of course, like, in the higher up mountainous regions of PV. Something like that.
Yeah, interesting. So what are these condos at Ascent going for right now?
Over $2,000 a square foot, which is for the penthouses, that's a new barrier for us to hit almost 2,200 a square foot.
Wow.
And what
Yeah.
is that for our audience out there? What does that equate to? How many square feet is that? How many
The most
millions of dollars is that we talking?
Yeah, the most expensive unit in Summit right now, it just went for sale, is a little bit over 10 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. I mean, but you know what? Some of these people, it's just play money for them. I mean, they've done so well in their life, and good for them. Like, I'm really trying to latch onto that mindset. It's like, go get it, bro. If you want to spend 10 million
Yeah.
bucks on a place to live, kill it. I watch this show. I mean, you probably watch this show too. It's on Netflix, and it was like these New York real estate people, and there was it was Diplo or something like that. He bought 100. You remember this show I was talking
I
about?
did see the episode, but that
He
sounds
bought
cool.
like $100 million penthouse, and it's like because he can. Because why not? So,
Incredible.
okay, I want to get back to these people that you work with. How particular are people, and do they already have a vision before they're jumping in with you?
Yeah, I would say so. It's not just celebrities; it's also executives and a lot of CEOs, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, they are.
And not in a bad way. I'm just talking about they have a vision for what they're looking for. Maybe you could help us articulate, what is that vision? What are they looking for?
Yeah, they're looking for privacy. They're
Okay.
but they are looking to get a good investment too, because properties are getting so expensive here. They're definitely, I would not say wary, but they want to be careful that they're
Sure.
buying into the right project, because we're getting into those high price per square foot areas now. So definitely, they definitely want to be close to the airport. They want to be. We call it the Golden Triangle. Actually, in sports, we call it the Golden Triangle. So you would have to be within 30 minutes of a training facility, or your training facility,
Right.
Of an international airport, and then within 30 minutes of world class, amenities or
restaurants,
and
yeah.
nightlife and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we have that, easily here. All three of those happen pretty much anywhere you buy, at least in the East Valley.
Yeah, one of the questions I always wonder is because, we have Amy Richardson on our show. She sponsors our podcast, and so she sells property down in Ahwatukee, mostly where I
the
live.
foothills, yeah.
Yeah, and I always wonder, like, why wouldn't every real estate agent want to be, like, a really high-end sales agent? Because there's so much more money to be made in that. Is it just easier because it's a numbers game to be selling, $500,000 houses, 700, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not as easy to find the business in the super high end.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to have some kind of angle, some kind of reason why these people would want to work with you.
Got it.
And let's call it the competition. So I mean, because you pointed out, of course, people are thinking that very vicious competition. If you could use that word, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
you
it's-
could.
Yeah, my competitor, like my fellow agents here, are no joke.
Yeah.
Like they're the
all
real
heavy
deal.
hitters,
They're
right?
heavy hitters.
And
this
then-
is a very competitive market, and there's people that have been doing this a long time here,
Interesting.
and they
Okay.
deserve it. They've earned it.
Yeah, for sure. So how do you usually come about business? So these agents and people that are reaching out to the firm, and then William says, "Okay, let me hook you up with Aaron. He's our guy in that division." Or
Oh, you're gonna give me a chance to take a dig at William right now?
no,
Yeah.
I mean,
I am.
Yeah, go
yeah,
for
no,
it.
he's like my big brother.
Okay, good.
Oh,
for it.
I
Let's go
introduce
for it.
him to people a lot
You
too.
do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
it's not always the other way around.
It's both.
Okay.
William has been here over 20 years doing this, and so he has, where I did in different markets. This is my third state doing luxury real estate.
Yeah, sure.
So William's been here 20 years. So William has a lot of referral business. I meet new people. We have really good online branding and marketing that I pretty much run, and that's kind of ties into my artificial intelligence skills. And then I oversee like marketing, and so we end up meeting people. New people. So where he has like people that are getting referred to him from his inner circle, where I'll bring in a whole new batch of people that never knew us before.
All right, that opened the door. Go
We'll
for
open
it.
the door. It's like reading that, this new position, this working with AI. Is this the first position that's taken in the country in this field? Can you talk about that?
I think so. Yeah. So I was named Chief AI
Let's
Officer.
call it right
The
now.
Chief AI.
Aaron's the first.
Chief AI.
I think so.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's funny because
It's on TikTok. It has to be true.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, like, I don't know what AI is. We've talked about this, so I'm interested to hear how you integrate that with the real estate. More of my questions are like, if serious, but yet maybe sound not so. But my question is like, so if you could replicate yourself, your talent, and your voice, would you license yourself? Or can you not? Like, think about that. Like, think of the future. Are you gonna AI literally replicate himself and what he
course,
can do, or is that something that's like something taboo, off limits? And that's something that kind of came up. I wanted to ask you about.
That's a fantastic question. You're thinking just like I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am like already have like clones of myself that exist on the cloud pretty much. That sounds really weird.
Okay, hilarious. You already
Yeah,
had
you're
this.
your
this
AI
already
alter
answered.
ego.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people developing these things, and you're smart to do it.
Yeah,
Doctors
they're
are
not
starting
set
to do
loose.
this.
Their mine
Right.
are not set loose. They're
Right.
not there yet. The technology is not there yet. But
Right.
I notice a lot of people in real estate see artificial intelligence as a gimmick, and that's because it is a very gimmicky industry in a sense of all the new tools coming out. They are kind of gimmicky, but if you truly understand artificial intelligence and understand artificial general intelligence is what we're searching for, we being mankind, that would be the largest invention in the history of mankind, and people have no clue what that means. That means everything starts fresh and new in this world, and we enter a whole new era of human progress. And if we hit AGI, artificial general intelligence, in our lifetime, you better know how to use it, or you're going to get passed up real fast, because people like me are already replicating ourselves, just waiting for it to be smart enough to say, oh, and have like a self-awareness to it. Then you could trust it much more, letting it loose. Right now, it'll just make a bunch of mistakes.
So have you read the book The Potentialist?
I have not.
Okay, you need to put this on your list of books to read. What was the guy's name, The Potentialist? I'm looking over at Max, our guy that we just interviewed on the house. Yes, Ben Lytle. You familiar with him?
No.
Good call.
So Ben Lytle is in the AI space for healthcare. And
Yeah.
one of the things they're talking about is like, say you take like a really smart doctor and you download all the stuff that this doctor knows. Well, essentially, he could be available for 1,000 patients and you would have the smartest doctor. And Ben's really clear about it. He's like, pretty soon we're just going to have an AI alter ego on our phone.
Right.
And that you'll be able to use that to interact with people. So I think it's cool. Let's see where it goes, right?
Yeah. We're going to have massive breakthroughs, and I get it that where people are nervous of it and kind of angered by it, like how dare it? But the things that we could see happen in our lifetime, we could cure a lot of diseases and help a lot of
fix a lot of stupid.
Right. I know. We could help people, we could help animals, we could do a lot.
Yeah. No, and but Ben even says like, hey, look, when televisions came out, everybody was like, oh my God, this is going to ruin the world, and and it's like, when this came out, everybody's like, oh my God, it's going to ruin the world. Same thing with AI. We always misuse this stuff first, and then we eventually figure out how to live with it.
Yeah, so. And there's always going to be people that, it's always going to be used for this, that, and the other thing. But, what's the intent? And as long as they've got some guidelines. So, anyways, you have anything on the AI? I've got one more.
Yeah,
one of my fun
questions.
Then
we can kind of wrap up with him. Let him get upon us. Get a pizza.
Okay, bonus question. Here we go. You're pitching your life as a film. But you got to sell it to a billionaire, one of your people, okay? A buyer who invests in luxury human experience. What part of your story raises the price of square foot? What does Aaron have that raises that price for the square foot to your billionaire?
20 years experience, and I'm straight up. I don't believe in sugarcoating for people. I'll tell you the truth. Because the truth hurts, but it sets you free.
Okay.
And one of the things I notice about high-value people is that nobody in their inner circle has the courage to talk to them straight. So that's
true,
it.
man.
Raise the price per square foot right there.
And the people that they
There you
respect
go.
the most are the ones that just hit them with the truth. Right? It's always the way it is.
Because you
Pay
can't
the man,
trust
he knows how to
anybody.
do it. Yeah.
You can't trust anybody once you get really well known or really
Right.
successful. Everybody's just going to tell you what you need to hear.
Because they want a little piece.
I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I saw on a earlier interview, I don't know how old this interview was, but it was kind of like 10 questions with Aaron. And he says, when he's not working, I'm a great, and you said son and dog dad. So you still running with the pups?
Yeah.
Yeah? You got a dog? 2 dogs? Tell me about
I
them.
have 2 dogs.
Uh-huh. What kind?
They're crazy.
Yeah, crazy dogs.
They're crazy dogs.
Yeah, they're small dogs because I traveled a lot. But
How
one is,
small? What are we
well,
talking?
Depends. So I actually have a Pomeranian, and he's 20 pounds.
Okay.
So he's like as big as you can get for a Pomeranian. So he's very masculine in that sense. He's like not tiny and like small.
A very masculine Pomeranian.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
something for everybody to look up.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So it's he's pretty funny. And then I have a black poodle,
Oh,
a puppy.
Yeah.
I bought him for my mom actually.
Oh, right on,
Yeah.
man. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, he does say he's a great son too. So there you go. All right, what's on the horizon for if you could kind of predict the future as we wrap up here? It's a buyer's market for the. There's only been a handful of these in the last 20 years. What's the future of real estate here in the Valley?
I think it's going to continue to grow, and we'll have ups and downs. But short of something disastrous happening in the world, I believe that we're going to see a continued increase in price per square foot, especially in that luxury market. If you look at the cost of construction and replacement costs, it's pretty darn high.
Right.
And then you have things like TSMC coming in with hundreds of billions of dollars in tech growth here. And then that really starts to make sense that Arizona will continue to become a player on the big scene.
Yeah, until we burst into flames and just go up because it gets too hot. Okay.
The desert keeps going.
Yeah.
It really does.
Final question for you is, if you had $10 million to invest in a piece of real estate, where are you spending your money?
I would probably buy some real estate around TSMC
You would.
for investment. And then I would obviously buy a luxury condo.
Yeah.
And probably what I'm waiting for is Fendi private residences at Ritz-Carlton, Paradise Valley.
Really?
Yeah. That
Like
would
the
be
Fendi?
yes, the Fendi.
Fendi.
That would be the next stage for us. I'd only be about 50 units, paparazzi proof.
yeah.
That's what we're all
Wow,
waiting for.
big time.
All
Loving
right.
it.
That's the next level.
How do people connect with you if they want to, man?
Yeah, they can just go to williamsluxuryhomes.com
Great.
and they'll find everything there.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man. Thank you so much for spending a little time
Aaron
with us.
Thank
Auxier.
Auxier. There it
Thank
is.
you.
Could be a hockey player, too.
Speaking of dogs, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be sitting down with Bari Mears, who runs PACC911. We'll see what that's all about. Hang tight. We'll see you for segment 2 in a second. Well, welcome back to our Move the Needle, episode number 35, Steve, from
Yes.
Craft 64.
Smells and is delicious.
Yeah, no, lots of good pizza happening behind us. All
Can't
right,
wait.
good conversation with Aaron. I feel like I understand the real estate market.
Yeah.
And I feel completely inadequate now, as I will never be able to afford a 2,000 square foot home. I shouldn't say
A
never.
$10 million condo.
Yeah, like that's
Around
just
the block, yeah.
outrageous to me that that's the case, but so it
If
is.
you got $100 million,
Yeah.
what is that?
You're right. You're right. So Bari Mears joins us next. She runs PACC911. Why 911? Because this is urgent, friends.
Sounds urgent to
We got
me.
something to do. So welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much, Matthew.
It's great to
Thank
have you
Steve.
here.
Yes.
What is PACC911? It's PACC 911.
Yes, it is, and it stands for Phoenix Animal Care Coalition.
Okay.
And PACC911, now in its 26th year, we celebrated 25 years at our big event last year.
Yeah.
I started in 1999 because there were a bunch of small rescue organizations, and maybe only 15 at that time, quite honestly, and nobody spoke to each other, and they all hated each other, and they all badmouthed each other, and there was no community work together. There was nothing that was
No cohesion.
no cohesion.
That's the word, right?
Well,
So
there
she
are
said
lots
we
of
need a
words.
coalition.
Yes.
We need a
We need to get together.
We do. And at that time, if they had a minute of time for a podcast, there weren't podcasts then, but any radio or TV time, they would spend it telling how bad the others were.
Oh, wow.
And there's a reason, because saving animals is a business, but it's a totally emotional business from the heart. And everybody's heart sees it a little differently. They all want the same thing, but
Right.
they go about it differently.
Okay.
And so they have different standards.
Fair enough.
So I came along and said, let's not do it this way. Let's work together. And PAC was started then, and I told them to put your differences aside and let's find our commonalities, because
saving the
that
animals.
will give the animals a louder voice, and they sure need it. Because way back then, at that time, the euthanasia rate between the county and the Humane Society was over 80,000 animals
A year.
a year. A year.
Heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking. Many things changed that for the better, and it's nowhere near that anymore. And I'll get into that as we go along.
I'm going to do you a solid. You got a little piece of hair that's coming across your cheekbone right there. Yeah.
you get it?
Yeah, of course I will.
Okay.
Yes.
If my wife.
That's the type of podcast this
appreciate
is.
it.
We
Kind of friend I
care
am.
about our people.
If I had spinach on my teeth, I
would
hope you
tell
would do
you.
the same thing.
Thank
I
you.
want people to tell me.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
Yeah. All right. So here's what's
Okay.
impressive about Bari is that she has grown this thing now to more than 100 partner groups.
We have 140 rescues now.
Wow.
So
Isn't that
in
incredible?
the beginning, it was really just let's get together and what's the best thing for us to do? Let's try and find venues to adopt out the animals that you each have. At that time, people really didn't like going to the big shelters. They were very depressing. And some of them still are.
Yeah.
And so the public tried to avoid those rather than go there, so they bought animals. that's another story. But so anyway, we started doing what we call now the PACC911 Adopt-a-thons. We've been doing them for 26 years.
So what happens at an adopt-a-thon?
Well, the rescue groups come, they stand side by side, they each have their own booth, they bring their animals, they adopt them out to the public. And we've grown so now that they're quite large. We're all over town. We do 10 a year now, from the window October through March, because they're outdoors.
Yeah, right.
And we're at the All Saints Church on Central and Maryland. We're in Anthem Park. We're at Surprise Toyota. We're at Burge Toyota. We just had one, and we'll continue at St. Anthony's Church on Shea and 130th Street, something like that. We tried to be all over town and very Chandler. So we try to be north, south, east, and west so that we can accommodate the public conveniently. And so our biggest event right now is the Anthem event, where probably 80 rescues participate. So they come, and it's a beautiful field.
What a great place to go to get an animal, right?
Yeah, it is. You can meet the rescues and see, the beautiful little faces that are there. You fall in love a million times. I just say, at least take one home. Do not leave empty-handed. We have vendors come.
Steve, you should go.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know how bad you want another dog. Like, you should go get a little
when
rescue.
The time is right. It's just I'm going to get a rescue, 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
The timing has to be right.
They don't start back up until November.
There you go.
You got a little time.
Little time.
You have a little time. The big ones.
You mentioned that you do a couple of these at a Toyota dealership, and I know you're giving away a car as a means to help raise money, because we all know that these rescues, a lot of times, man, this is bootstrapping. People are taking these dogs at their houses, or they're, in shelters. The food costs money, the board costs money, the lights cost money.
Veterinary care.
Yeah, right. So talk to me a little bit about this giveaway. How do I get in on that?
Oh, well, you can go to the PACC911 website, and it's all on there right now. You'll see Win a Toyota. The tickets will be $100 a piece. We only print 2,000 tickets.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's really very winnable.
Yeah.
And we just delivered last year's car to the winner. She actually was supposed to win a 2024 4Runner, but they ran out of them, so Toyota gave her a 2025
there it is.
this year, and we delivered that to her this past March, and it was gorgeous.
Just recently.
Okay. And now we're selling tickets for the next drawing, which will be at our big fundraiser, which is called Glimmer of Hope, and that is November 16th. It will be at the Camelback Inn. It's a Sunday luncheon. The public is invited to this. Tickets are only $175, and that includes a beautiful luncheon, silent and live auction, a beautiful program, and we'll be selling tickets for the last tickets will be sold there because the drawing will be that day. So it's going to be it's always a great event. And if you're interested, go on the website. You can find the invitation. You can make your reservations right there. And I suggest people sign up early, because last year we sold out the event. We had 530 people in a room that fit 500. So we managed, and it's a great problem to have.
Yeah, good for you.
But I want to talk about the problem. I want to talk about what's really going on. The biggest program that PACC has, and we started this in 2012, is called the Critical Care Program.
Yes.
Before the Critical Care Program, in the county or the Humane Society, any animal that had serious medical issues beyond the scope of the shelters to help, which is their scope is limited because they practice what we call shelter medicine, so they can't do a lot of things that a private vet does, because those are time consuming and very expensive. So that shelter medicine is standard for shelters. So any animal beyond shelter medicine was euthanized. There was no question. They couldn't be put up for adoption. So my program started in 2012, and I had gotten a few grants for medical. Not a lot at this point, because we were going to see how this went. So the first year, we helped 12 animals, and we were just so happy. These were 12 animals that would have been dead. 10 years after that, in 22, I stood up at Glimmer of Hope and announced that the critical care program had helped that year 1,200.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Last year,
I thought you were going to say 13.
2024, in 2024, we helped 1,755 animals.
Unbelievable.
Close to 2,000.
This year it will be, because I got my first quarter numbers and they're tracking to be over, if it all goes as the first quarter, we'll be well over 2,000.
Incredible.
And they're expensive.
Yeah.
Trust me, we had to spend.
What is
a
the
lot.
average vet bill?
We don't pay the vet bill, the rescues do. We commit money, they have to pay the bill.
Yeah.
And then we have committed money, how much we're going to give them. We have to do this so that there's never any fraud. There's
Sure.
not that, we trust our own partners. This is for PACC partners only. But you never know. So to keep the program honest and transparent, they pay the bill, then we give them what we said we would.
Got
and
it.
some of the bills are small.
Yeah,
They might
right.
be $1,500. That's small. Some of them are
Large.
15,000.
Oh my goodness.
And we have a limit of what we can do.
Yeah.
But we will give them the maximum that we're able to for the largest bills, and then they have fundraising to do
Sure.
for their supporters. So keeping the animals healthy is a very, very important thing to us. And I will tell you, a few years after we got our program going, I sat down with the director of Animal Care and Control, the then director, because they changed a lot. And she said, your program has changed the whole culture of what we do in shelters here in Arizona.
That's so cool.
And she said, because now those animals have a chance.
Right.
Now those animals are offered to the rescues. Doesn't mean we can take every one, because there's a lot of them. And they're often on the euthanasia list. But we'll pull those we can. The partners pull those who can. We will offer money to any of those animals that they take. And successfully to this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about? Steve's got some fun questions for you. So I'm
Okay.
gonna segue us into there. But
Thank you.
Do you have any animals yourself? Like, is there a dog or a cat at your house?
I would say so.
Yeah.
How many?
I'm down to 5 dogs and I have a horse.
5 dogs and a horse.
Yes, and this is down because I had 5 horses and 9 dogs at one time.
Oh,
and I had
wow.
a donkey.
And a donkey.
And I did, yeah.
And then, so you don't live in a condo then?
I do not live in a condo. I do not live in a condo. I
Yeah.
was
You have a big
lucky.
backyard.
Yeah.
I do. So, yeah, we're very lucky in that respect. And I'm down to 5, but I just saw one that one of my partners got money for. I have quite a few dachshunds. I love little dogs. I love every
love
breed.
it.
I had a
Dachshund.
dachshund.
You did?
Yeah, we
They're
did.
so cute.
Yeah, they are so cute.
Their
And
little
Super
legs.
smart too.
they're so bad. They're really
Yeah.
bad. They
Are
don't
they?
train. I mean, they're potty trained, but they don't take direction. They just
Yeah.
give it to you.
Uh-huh.
Now, what was I going to say?
Yeah, you were talking about all your dogs.
I know. Our dachshund rescue, with our 140 rescues, some of them are breed specific, and
Of
we do
course.
have a dachshund rescue, and we do have a cattle dog rescue, and
I
we
got
do have,
my little Chihuahua from a Chihuahua rescue.
I have a Chihuahua too.
You do?
Yeah, he's really bad. Is yours bad?
No, mine is the sweetest
Oh,
dog I've
mine
ever
is
owned in
so
my
bad.
entire life.
Mine hates me, but I love him. He's
We've got amazing rescues. And so I don't know if this is a fun question, but I think it's something that our audience could see through you. Like, I mean, you've obviously seen a lot. The heartbreaks, the wins. I call it being a voice for the voiceless. What has rescuing these animals taught you about yourself?
Well, let me start by saying, to answer that, I pretty much gave up the rest of my life to do this. I do not travel. I work 7 days a week. I am on that computer because I know what's coming in, and if I don't disperse it, an animal that might
die.
have been saved won't.
Yeah, right.
So what has
it's-
that taught you?
So it taught me that this is, I mean, there are lots of important things in this world, and I do value our country, and I do value some people,
Yeah, right.
not the animal abusers, but the animals are the most dear thing to me. They are just the faces of love. They are innocence. They're everything good. And when I say mine is bad, bad is still good. He's adorable. But they are just such beautiful, beautiful creatures that were put on this earth, and they are our responsibility. They are not meant to be out on the streets unattended, and too many of them right now are. People out of desperation are abandoning animals more than they ever have.
It's hard,
and
right?
we can't even take in all of them. The county shelter is inadequate to take in the numbers of animals that need help right now. And there's no solving this without a lot of money coming from the bureau, our government, our board of supervisors, and the building of many new municipal shelters. The rescues, we fund ourselves. I mean, we don't get a dime from government. Everything we have is our own hard work, and we do work hard. Our fundraiser, our selling the raffle tickets. I've written 7 books. Every one of them was.
I was going to say, you've written a Bon Appetit cookbook,
did.
The Love Stories of Pets and Their People.
That's right, I have. And they were all fundraisers.
Ah.
And anything I can think to do to bring more money in, I do. That's legal.
Yeah, right.
So far, that's
So
legal.
far. Yeah. Well, you keep pushing. Yeah, you keep
Save
I'm
those-
moving the needle.
Yeah,
You are
she
with
is
saving
moving the needle.
saving the animals, saving lives,
There it
saving
is.
lives. I
Barry
love
with
it.
the plug.
I love it. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You spent, did I read this correctly? You spent about 25 years in the media
Yeah,
business. What
I
did you do?
I started out in radio as a sales executive.
Uh-huh.
I was in management for a little while. Then I moved to, when Channel 45 KUTP came to the market, they were a new sign-on television station,
Okay.
independent, out of Beverly Hills, actually. And they recruited me. So I was with them for 16 years.
Wow.
They were eventually sold to News Corp, and so they really don't exist anymore.
Right.
I think they went away.
Yeah.
But we had a wonderful 16 years. We carried the Phoenix Suns, and we had, it was all reruns because we were, an independent station. But we had some great reruns. We had Friends and
Yeah.
Awesome.
really good shows. So I had a great time there. But what it did, because I truly believe we're all put on this earth to do something special.
Of course, our assignment.
Our assignment. And that background gave me so many contacts
Yes.
and so much information that I needed to do what I'm doing
Sure.
today.
And some connections,
And
right?
a ton of connections
Yeah.
at the top.
Yes.
At the top. And I'm so grateful for that history. And it's been very, very lucrative. PACC now, this is interesting. COVID came, and the Humane Society closed their doors. The county shelter closed their doors. So you find a dog on the street, because there were many, and you have no one to call. You don't know about us yet. But you find out through word of mouth and through your frantic phone calls, what do I do with this dog? You will find out about PACC911 because we continued working. From the COVID years, when they did that, more people learned about PACC911, and there's still a whole bunch of people who don't have a clue
course.
who we are. We're not a rescue. We're the umbrella to 140 rescues, and we support them in a variety of ways. But once we were found, and we were then supporting all these rescues, what has happened, the rescues numbers from that point to today outdo the county numbers and the Humane Society.
Really?
Those two agencies took in around 24,000 animals, approximately. I don't have it in front of me, but it was around 24,000 at county last year, 24,000 at Humane Society last year, and PACC Partners collectively took in 32,000 animals.
She's the big dog.
Yes.
We became from a little mouse that roared to a big dog.
Yeah.
Wow.
And speaking of big dogs, you played right into this.
Let's go.
I need this. One of my partners is in trouble, and it's my Mastiff rescue.
Oh my
speaking
God,
of big
I
dogs.
would get a Mastiff tomorrow.
Well, we want to give you one.
You do?
Well, let me tell you what's happening. They're a wonderful rescue, and they have been with us 11 years in this building, and the landlord just gave them 2 months' notice to get out because he's selling the building. And I'm trying to help them. We need foster homes for
How
the
many?
mastiffs. She has 50 mastiffs in this building. I was
Just 50 masks. That's like
Oh my
50
God, I would
people.
love
I
to have
was
a
just
mastiff.
down there. I went down there, and we took pictures.
Beautiful.
I'm sitting near the
Beautiful dogs.
mastiff. Here's me, and here's the mastiff's
yeah.
head. But they're beautiful, beautiful dogs, and we need a place for them. We need to find a building that she can rent, lease to buy. We need to solve this
Okay.
problem for her. So this is so timely that you should mention big dogs.
All right. Played right into
Played
it.
right into it.
Played right into it.
And
Okay.
we'll talk to you if maybe you'll foster
I
one.
don't think that my wife and kids would
Do you
totally
think
allow.
they'd notice?
Yeah, maybe not. We could probably just hide him in the corner.
Sneak 'em in.
I'd have to get a bigger dog door. The little Chihuahua is very little. Yeah.
And another king-size bed.
And another king size bed, yeah.
Yeah,
And a big brush.
Yeah.
And a big brush. Well, Bari, thank you so much for joining us
thank
and
you for
making
having
us
me.
aware
Yes.
of this great organization. Congratulations on the success of it and
Yeah.
the growth of it.
Thank you.
And more than anything, what I appreciate about what you're doing is bringing everybody who's like-minded into the same room, you know? It
You know-
really is
And-
it's a power
Thank
skill
you.
to have.
And we've had a lot of them on the show, and
Sure.
so that's how we've had. I mean,
We've probably had 20
I
different
mean,
rescues on
yeah,
it,
at
feels
least.
like
I
now.
mean, it just seems like we've had live dogs, so we've heard about you.
Okay. Well, we love all our partners, and I'd love you both to attend Glimmer of Hope if you're able to.
Okay, it's in November,
It's
right?
November 16th. It's a Sunday luncheon at the Camelback Inn. If you're able to come, talk
Okay.
to me.
All right.
Talk to me. I will.
You
Thank
guys
you.
look on our website too,
Yeah.
and we can get you. So you can buy the tickets. You can come out and
Yes.
raffle off for this Toyota.
Yes,
It'll be a lot of fun.
absolutely. It is fun, and it's very, very education. You really live what we live with our program. You'll
Super.
see. It's
All right.
wonderful. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Thank
again.
you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you
All
what you
right,
do.
here's what we're gonna
Thank
do.
you.
We're gonna take a quick break, take a couple of pictures. I'm gonna look at some pictures of mastiffs, I think, and then when we come back, Carey Pena is gonna be sitting in that seat right there. We'll see you in a minute.
Exciting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, welcome back. It's Move the Needle. We're live from Craft 64, and we're sitting down with Carey Pena now. This is so cool to have you on
thank
another
you.
modality.
Yes.
We have
Yeah.
shared microphones in the past.
Yeah, I've
and
been on the radio with you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
nice to see you
It's
guys.
good
And
to
this
see
place
you.
is so cute here.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Have
Yeah.
you never
Yes.
been to Craft 64?
I've never been here.
Okay,
I
yeah.
love this place. I just want to give a plug for it. I
Yeah.
wanna-
Yes.
Well, the pizzas apparently. What's the award they won?
Well, what it's Dave Portney, who does the
Barstool Sports.
Sports does the pizza tasting, gave this literally like the highest, second highest Arizona, like the highest he's ever rated.
Yeah, it's a
So
vibe.
right out in front here. So it's amazing. I almost wolfed the whole pizza down myself, like a large. I never do that
Congratulations,
anymore.
I was
So-
eyeballing the bar over there, but I'm like, I'm going to be going on this podcast,
Yeah.
so let me just have some water.
Hey,
Well,
Would've
on
been
the
fun.
day of this recording, the documentary that many people have already come to know and see
Yeah,
and love
I-
is being released.
Yeah.
And so I want to get to that in a little bit,
Yeah,
but
thanks.
I have a few questions that I have
Yeah,
to
of
ask
course.
first. You similar to me, you left the beast.
Yeah.
You walked away from the beast to do something a lot more meaningful, and you
Yeah.
started this Inspired Media.
Yeah.
And so talk to me about your evolution. How did that come to be? What was burnout looking like for you, and what ultimately made you go, I'm out?
No, thank you so much for the question. So I actually didn't have burnout per se.
Okay.
I think I was one of the unique few that really had a very good experience in local media.
Yeah.
And my station, 3TV, which was the station that I primarily worked at
What
here
a great
locally.
vibe,
Yes.
too, right?
I mean, I can't say, I can only say good things about
Right.
them and how they've always treated me. I just felt I have an entrepreneurial spirit. And I also love content creation. I love long-form journalism. I love documentary filmmaking. And I wanted to learn more about that and test myself in other areas.
Okay.
So I was super lucky because, well, I guess I shouldn't say lucky. I worked really hard. But I also had a hint of luck. When I graduated from ASU, they put me on the air right away. I had a fast rise. And then I did investigative reporting here in Phoenix. I did the political show, and I was one of the main breaking news reporters. And then I anchored a bunch of newscasts. So I kind of like checked all the boxes
Yeah.
at a relatively young age for our business. And I felt like, wow, I've done all this.
Yeah.
For me, I just saw a little bit more. So that was kind of my evolution.
That's super cool.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I
I-
actually love the business of journalism, and
For sure.
I love the business of local news.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and you get to like dip into the things you ultimately want to get it into.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, yes, there's a lot of great things about local media, but they had a big say in like what stories
Sure.
were going to get covered.
And it's formatted,
Right,
I mean,
right.
and if, right or wrong, but you can't really go super deep into a lot of subjects. And so I felt like because I was really blessed, I think God blessed me with a lot of things, and one of them is to have a lot of people follow along with my journey and
Yeah.
support me along the way. And I just thought so hard about how do I use that? How do I
Right.
use that in a way that could potentially have greater impact?
Good for you. First up, fire outfit. Love that.
Oh, thank
That's
Yeah,
you.
beautiful.
Very, very
Awesome.
cool. I also want to talk about the fact that you've won an Emmy in the past.
Yeah.
What's that experience like, picking up a big trophy like that? That's sort of sexy.
Well, thank you. So that was what got me really into long form journalism.
Okay.
I leaned in hard to push for those stories that were more impactful, and that Emmy was actually the one you're referring to was all about. I was following a young girl who wanted to go into the Catholic Church. She wanted to become a nun, so the diocese gave us unprecedented access following along with her journey, and essentially at that time her family sort of saying goodbye to her because she was going away to the convent. And so we did a long form journalism piece, myself and one of my favorite photographers, Todd Martin, and I know he stalks me, so I'm going to give him a little
up,
shout
Todd?
out. What's up, Todd?
We see you.
We see you. He's an amazing photographer and a photojournalist. So we leaned into that story, and we actually begged for more time on the air to give longer form journalism a chance. And it worked. We won an Emmy for that.
Yeah.
And then they actually gave me an opportunity to tell a lot more long form stories, which then, I got the bug.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I
All
think
right,
it's.
Steve, hit her.
I think it's. I mean, so interesting. I mean, just that topic and diving into that, because first of all, my aunt's a nun, okay, and I have no idea what she went through.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued now to dive in and look for that. And
Well, here's the thing: is that journalism, right? It's like what you guys are doing here at this podcast, what you did on the radio, and it's all about, to me, let's talk to one another.
Let's get the story.
Let's,
Right?
Connecting.
let's be real about
Yeah.
it, though, right? And I think as a journalist, my job is not to shade the stories or slant the stories. It's just I want to know what people are about, and I think the more we can all try to understand each other, a better world we will all live in.
That's so true. Yeah.
I'm also intrigued about your investigative reporting. How
Yeah.
was that? Was that exciting? Tell me about.
It was,
more.
being an investigative reporter. Did you ever do investigative
I
reporting?
didn't. No. I just introduced records.
Yeah. Okay.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, it was all fun party stuff.
So I was very fortunate to get that position in 3 on Your Side, which is an incredibly respected
Oh, yeah.
franchise here in the Valley that Gary Harper, an incredible reporter, has led for many years. And they put me in there, and I think I was probably the one that was annoying because I was always like, let's investigate the pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
I wanted like
You
all the
were-
most
get 'em.
You were
difficult
going-
things.
you were-
And they were like, can you just go look into, like, this woman needs a refund on her blender that didn't work, and can you just
The
maybe
company
do
never
that?
called her back.
Like,
Can
why
you-
do you got to be
Right,
such a
right.
problem?
Yeah.
But we did some incredible reporting in that unit, but that I found interesting too, because that pushes your limits, because you're asking the questions of what is wrong here. One of the most significant stories that we did was actually a gentleman who was defrauding people. So white collar crimes is the hardest to investigate. It's the hardest to prosecute too, for cops and prosecutors. And we were tracking this gentleman down, and he had defrauded a bunch of people. And I got the inside track on this. And when I found out that he had defrauded a woman who was 82 years old, she told me the story, and that made me mad.
Game on.
That was,
It was
game
like
on.
game on.
And I was actually pregnant at the time, and we were trying to find this guy, and he was very crafty. We couldn't find him. So then we found out he was going to be at bankruptcy court, And Todd Martin, again, hey Todd.
Picture. He was ready for the key. The cameras are ready.
We were like, we're going to go I don't like doing ambush reporting, but every once in a while, it's got to happen.
Investigative, I mean, you got a surprise.
You got to jump out of the bushes
and
every
it looks
once
good
in a while.
on the promos,
Yeah, it looks
right?
good on the promos.
Yeah.
So that was one of my stories that is like the highlight, because I remember I was like, no, I can't let this guy go. And I was pregnant with twins, 6 months pregnant. And we were sitting outside bankruptcy court, and out comes the guy. We're like, hello, Carey Pena. We have been trying to get in touch with you, all this stuff. He starts running. I start running. Todd starts running.
Oh, there's action.
Todd's like, you're pregnant. Stop running. And we have this whole thing. We chased him, and finally I stopped running, and Todd chased him all the way to his, Lamborghini or whatever he was getting in. And that story made quite an impact.
All right, let's talk about the stories you're telling these days.
Yeah.
Very curious about this documentary that just dropped.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. So right now, what I do with Inspired Media 360 is we really do solution-based journalism, impact journalism, and I really go where I think I can be of service. So a lot of times people will call me and they'll say, this is a topic, can you help us kind of figure out how to navigate telling the stories a little deeper?
Yes.
Right? So mental health, which I know is an
big one for
important
me.
topic
Right.
for you. We do a lot of reporting in that space. So my former co-anchor, who's an incredible journalist, talk about someone who's won a lot of Emmys, Brandon Leigh. He did have mental health
We were
break.
close to each other in that space. He had left just before I did.
Yeah,
I think.
he left the news, and he was been very public about it. I mean, he wrote about this in a book, and so he's also an incredible artist. So he wanted to leave the news. It was too much for him at the time, and also I think he just had a different calling, and so he went on to create what's called Art of Our Soul, which is trauma-informed art therapy, and that ended up being picked up by the prison system here in Arizona, because we now have a very forward-thinking director, Thornell, who has brought in trauma therapies into the prisons.
Amazing.
And so we started studying, in our case, in the women's prison, Prairieville. And so they said, do you want to have some access inside the prison to see if this is, is this effective? Is this working? Right. Should we offer these women some chance to heal and have therapies? So we've been inside the prison, and we've been looking at, trauma-informed therapy. Mm-hmm. And actually, I just got a report from Brandon today, some of the data that we've been seeing, the statistics that they've seen of how it's helping the mental health for the women in the prison.
Of course,
is incredible.
There's an outlet, right?
It's an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, whatever you think about people in prison, I know there's a lot of varying points of view, but the bottom line is for Prairieville, 93% of those women will be released.
Right.
And also, so many of those women, and I've been in there talking to them and telling their stories, they have terrible, traumatic stories of domestic violence and trauma and just terrible things. And I'm not excusing anyone's behavior or decisions, but I think the question we're asking in this documentary is, do we as a society think that people deserve a second chance? If they've served their time, and they've served their time, do they deserve a second chance? And do we think it makes sense to have some healing while they're behind bars so that they're better citizens when they get out? I mean,
I was going to say the answer is easy. The answer is yes. They need it, and they need to break the cycle, because
that's what we're looking at.
I mean,
Thank
how many
you.
people
Great
come,
way to say
how
it.
many people
Beautiful.
come back? Right?
You watching my speeches now?
Yeah,
It's
the
teaching me a little
recidivism
bit.
rates.
Yeah,
We're
teach me a
we
little
want
bit.
to cut down on the recidivism rates. We want in this case, I'm speaking specifically about the women I've interviewed, but they have children, they have families, they want to get jobs, they want to and look, the facts are, in this country, the criminal justice system, it's just not working. Like, you can't just warehouse people and expect
that they're going to get better.
They're going to get better.
Right.
And so we've been asking that question, and I'm really proud of this piece of work that's debuting at the Herberger Theater, and an 800-person theater.
Beautiful theater.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It really is.
It's something
we should
that
get
we're
Brandon
really
on the show. We really should.
Brandon would come on.
Yeah,
he's amazing. He's one of my best friends in the world.
And him and I have never met.
Oh, he's
all right,
incredible.
shout out. Get him on.
Yeah.
Let's
Well, I'm good friends with. Well, I'm good friends, but I mean, I know Yetta Gibson really well, and they worked
Yetta's
together
awesome.
for a long
Yeah.
time. You obviously,
I worked
go
with Yetta,
back.
yeah.
right. And they all. She talked about it. What a good dude he was.
He's great.
So, anyways.
Yeah.
What else are you working on right now that's got your attention and you're pretty excited?
Here's the thing. I just want to tell. I don't know what your demographic is or what your audience is, but here's the thing I can say.
We
is
go
that-
for breathing.
Okay, you go for
Everybody,
people
yes.
who are breathing. Okay, that's perfect. So it's an audience that's widespread.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're alive,
And then-
we'd love to
uh,
have
We
you.
do
Yeah,
have a
we
wide.
on this podcast.
It is a true. It's true fact. It is.
So I can just say that I have been leaning into the entrepreneurial space and the content creation. Now I have 2 production studios, and knock on wood, but we have a waiting list of people who want to work with us because first of all, content creation is important. People need to learn how to tell, whether it's businesses or whoever you are, whatever it is. And we work with a lot of also healthcare companies who are looking at how do we tell our stories in a more heart-centric way.
Yes.
So we really bring in like a journalism lens and say, let's tear back all of this, because I'm not a marketing person and I'm not a PR person. I'm a journalist.
Let's
and
tell your story.
like, what is your story?
Yes.
And at the end of the day, sometimes I'll be sitting in like a big fancy conference room with a lot of fancy people, and I'm like, I hear everything you guys are saying, and those slogans are amazing, but what's the actual story?
Yeah.
What are we trying to say? So I've leaned into that, and I've stood by that, and that has worked.
I
So that
love
tells
this.
me from a business standpoint, I've done something right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool because, that's a lot what, we have this Move the Needle podcast, which is fun, and we get to highlight people like you. But the other podcasts that I run, learn from people who lived it. That's really that's why I started it. I thought, what my gift is being able to sit down with somebody and get the truth out of them,
Right.
and in a really authentic way. And if we can do that and share these stories of these people, other folks will connect to this.
Yeah.
And then when there is connection, there's healing.
When
and then
you're
when
real.
there's healing,
Yeah.
what happens after that, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I love this work that you're doing
Thank
over there,
you.
and I find myself pretty inspired right now.
Thank you.
360.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, we do work in a lot of different spaces. So, for instance, I just did 2 weeks ago, an interview with the CEO of the opera because they're doing a production of Aida, and they're using AI, and that's been somewhat controversial in the art world.
Wow,
So they came to
okay.
me. There was like, do you want to do a conversation about that? I thought it was really interesting to talk about that because his point was, if we produce this with AI, we can produce it because it's a very extensive production. It's hard to produce. We can hire 100 people. If we don't use AI, we won't be able. We don't have the resources to produce this.
Yes.
So, but I know he won't mind my saying this. Joseph Spector, who's the CEO, I said, are we going to have a real conversation? Because I'm not going to have you guys feed me questions and
Yeah,
you're
right.
like, it's
This
a
isn't a PR
softball
push,
thing.
right.
It's not
Right.
a PR. And he goes, ask me anything you want. Now, that's how organizations should tackle it. There's controversy. Why is there controversy? Like, just say what
Tell me
your
what's going
point
on.
of view
Yeah.
is, and then everyone can make their own decision.
Bring it out the light, talk about it,
Yeah,
and see where it
shine
ends
a
up.
light.
All right, Steve, what do you got over there?
So I want you. Obviously you share a lot of inspiring stories. What's one story you haven't shared yet? You can give us a little nugget. One that still inspires you to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe too much that you could even let go of. What's something you go back to that no
So
people
something
don't
that
know?
I've reported on,
Anything.
or that I just haven't talked
you
about.
haven't maybe talked about. Yeah, that inspired. Yeah, that
I
brings-
mean, oh wow. I mean, there's
inspires you.
Well, so many of the people that I've interviewed over the years inspire me, but I will tell you that one of the stories that I always think about and that I draw strength from is, you guys remember, obviously, the Granite Mountain hotshots, all of the firefighters who died so awful, tragic. I mean, that was just horrific. And I realized that some of these stories that I was anchoring and reporting on, it actually, I feel like I had a form of PTSD because I was on the anchor desk that
That's
night.
a really good point.
Yeah, I was on the anchor desk that night. I was actually barbecuing with my family. My news director, Cameron Beck, who's wonderful, calls me. She's like, I need you in the station right away. We just got word that possibly more than a dozen firefighters were killed. And I have such a heart for fire and law enforcement. And I was just like, what? What are you talking about? So I race in there. Anyways, you guys know the story. I mean, it was horrific. And what ended up happening was I've been very fortunate that a lot of families will sit down with me because they trust me because I'm normal. I don't try to sell them on some, bag of
Right,
BS.
right.
So the youngest firefighter, if I'm remembering, I think he was the youngest of the group. His family agreed to do a sit-down interview again, Todd Martin was my photographer, and we went
That's
up.
Todd's third shout
Yeah,
out.
Todd. I mean, just love that guy. I
Whoop.
traveled with him everywhere. But we went. But I'll never forget this. So you asked what inspires me, and this is something that I really learned was in the face of like horrific a tragedy, something that is, you can't even, like, your child died trying to fight a fire. We learned the details, right? They had to go inside those fire bags, so they had to go.
Yeah, I saw the movie they made about it. It was incredible.
And you know, and I sat in their living room, and the mom was they were the sweetest people, and I remember I was so sad. And she said to me, honey, it's okay. She was and I remember just feeling, you're asking me what inspires me. Resilience inspires me.
There it is.
Resilience
Great
in
question.
the face
Great
of
answer.
tragedy. Resilience when you think you can't go on, when you're at your lowest point. And I have children. I have twins. And to me, if you can learn the skill of resilience, that gets you through life.
Yeah. Well, you showed it too, and when you're pregnant, chasing somebody as an investigative reporter,
Yeah.
I'd say that's pretty resilient as well. So you started early
It's a
on.
very viral clip on YouTube, by the
yeah,
way.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check that out.
How do people connect with you? How do we find all this goodness? What's the best?
So I mean, if they Google me, Carey Pena, my company is Inspired Media 360. I run 2 production studios. One is the Center for Positive Media, and it's pretty easy.
I want to come down and take a tour.
Yeah, it's really cool. We have a big building. We have a 2,000 square foot
Really?
soundstage. Oh yeah.
I gotta
It's
see
like-
this. But
it's
do you
very
mind? Like,
legitimate.
I'm serious.
What do you
not
think? I'm
just-
running like a small operation?
No,
over
I didn't
here?
think you are, but I mean, I'm
He's
like
looking
really
for an
impressed
invite,
that
Carey.
it's-
Say,
Like what?
come
Yeah,
on
Yeah, I
down.
want to
Anytime.
come. I want to
Yeah,
come
there
see
you
the
go.
joint.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
I'm inspired by this.
Yeah,
right?
thank you.
It's really cool what you built.
I took a leap. And I just always think that you have to lean a little bit into fear too.
Yes.
You know, every time I feel like, oh my gosh, can I do this? I'm doing big things, right? But then every time in my own head, I have 2 things: lean into fear and keep going.
Which equals
my kinda girl.
resilience, which you
That's
just
resilience,
said.
yeah.
Okay, before
Last
we
question?
leave, last
All right, here we
question.
go.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
we got to have something fun for our audience.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, if you're
Wait,
like,
none of this was fun?
yeah, no,
You know,
really, I mean,
am I not fun?
No,
You're a
fun,
producer?
fun,
He's
fun.
not- am I fun
Fun,
or no?
funny, fun. Yeah,
I'm
you're
fun.
Give it
super
to him.
fun.
Give it to him,
Okay,
Carey.
Shoot.
Okay,
Let's
super
see.
fun. If
Okay.
your life was edited into a documentary by your favorite
Yeah.
storyteller, dead or alive,
Yeah.
who would narrate it, and what would the title be?
Ooh,
Who
this
would
is
narrate
good.
or who would star in it? I can
would-
tell you who would star in it.
Okay, well, no, narrate. Okay, star in it, narrate it.
Because my
everything.
friend just texted me the other day, and she goes, "You know who reminds me so much of you? Kate Hudson."
Oh my
okay.
God.
And I was like, "Yes,
Yes,
That's
okay.
a victory.
Kate
She's
Hudson
cool
for
shit.
the
She's
win.
really cool
So
shit.
Kate
I like
Hudson's
her.
playing you, but who's narrating it in the background? Who knows you
Morgan
so well?
Freeman. No, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Wow,
We're
going right to
big.
the top.
We're going big.
You're calling
We're
your buddy
going big.
Morgan.
Yeah.
Carey Payne.
Who knows you the best? They
Oh,
can.
my friend. Oh, I have the best friends in the world. I
So
couldn't
somebody would have to
choose
know you
one.
so well to put those little intricacies. That's
I
what
mean,
it is.
all of my, honestly, we had such a good group of people growing up in the news business that we're all best friends. So, I mean, Suzanne Bissett, Olivia Fiero, like all of my best friends, like we are so tight. So I can't name just one.
So what would,
All right.
and then would the
So
title
Kate
be?
Hudson.
Charlie's Angels? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it would be Charlie's Angels with
Cool.
Kate Hudson.
See,
Yeah.
I love it.
Carey's Angels, though.
Carey's
we would have
right.
to,
Carey's
we would have
Angels.
to change that up just a
There you
little
go,
bit.
good one.
Well, it's great to see you again.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
I
keep-
appreciate
Thank you for
you.
coming. I'm glad we
Yes.
connected.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me to this really cool location and having me on
Craft
your podcast.
64,
Grab
another
a
one.
pie for the kids and the husband,
nice.
and they will
Yeah.
appreciate you.
It sounds like you got a bunch of move the needle guests too that you're gonna just send our way for
I
sure.
can hook it up, but I will tell you that I don't go on a lot of podcasts, but I respect the work that you're doing in the mental health space.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so when y'all messaged me, I thought, oh, that's cool. I like that. I want to support what you're doing.
Well, then I
So-
think we'll
and-
do
and-
more together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that. So yeah,
Okay.
Matthew's amazing with it. He
Yeah.
really is, and is a co-host and partner. I feel the same way. So
Yeah.
it's nice.
It's an all-around good.
It's an all-around good
situation.
feeling.
360,
And so, yeah,
baby.
360. Well, yeah,
That's
yeah.
all good. Well,
Sounds
all
good.
right, let's wrap this up, man. Thanks to Aaron. We learned so much about celebrities and sports celebrities and buying houses. We learned a lot about the animals who need our help, specifically that Mastiff rescue from Bari today. And, of course, Carey Pena from Inspired Media 360 for joining us. We'll see everybody next time
Thank
on our
you.
Move the Needle podcast.
Yes.